The Rusty Flagon, a tavern carved into the side of a cliff overlooking a chasm of swirling purple mist, hummed with a low, raucous energy. Rough-hewn tables were scattered amongst flickering candlelight, casting long, dancing shadows. Cedric of the Radiant Dawn, his silver armor gleaming faintly, sat at a table near the hearth, nursing a mug of ale. He listened patiently to a dwarven miner recounting a harrowing encounter with a rock golem that had inexplicably sprouted wings. And then, by the beard of Grimbeard himself, it flew. The dwarf, Borin Stonehand, bellowed, slamming his fist on the table. Ale splashed onto Cedric's pristine armor. Cedric chuckled, wiping the ale with a cloth. Truly a remarkable tale, Borin. Though I confess, the winged rock golem is a new one on me. Perhaps the mists are affecting even the earth elementals. At that moment, Selim Thorn slipped into the tavern, his green cloak blending with the shadows. He moved with a practiced stealth, his gaze sharp and assessing. He paused, observing the scene before choosing a secluded table in the corner. He ordered a meager bowl of stew, eating slowly, his eyes constantly scanning the room. Elenara Vaslarian entered with a flourish, her cerulean robes trailing behind her like a silken river. She greeted the tavern keeper with a dismissive wave of her hand, and then surveyed the room, her emerald eyes lingering on Cedric. She chose a table near his, her laughter echoing lightly as she began to meticulously arrange several small vials of shimmering liquids before her. A most fascinating gathering, she murmured to herself, her lips curving into a slight smile. The air around her shimmered subtly, as if touched by faint magic. Raxith, the lizard man, entered last, his presence filling the tavern like a sudden storm. He didn't bother with a table. Instead, he simply stood near the entrance, his gaze sweeping over the other patrons. His immense battle-axe rested against a nearby pillar, its weight seemingly defying gravity. Lyra Silverpaw, her silver hair blending with the gloom of the corner, watched him with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity from her shadowed table, her hand resting near the quiver on her back. "Another winged monstrosity," Cedric commented to Elenara, gesturing towards Borin's still-animated story. "Seems the mists are having a peculiar effect on the region's fauna." Elenara's eyes, however, were fixated on Cedric's armor. "Remarkable craftsmanship," she said, her voice a melodious counterpoint to Borin's booming pronouncements. "Those symbols, they speak of the Radiant Dawn. I've heard whispers of your order's unwavering dedication." "Indeed," Cedric replied, his smile warm. "It is our sacred duty to serve." Selim, having overheard, scoffed softly to himself. "Sacred duty? More like convenient self-righteousness," he muttered, enough for Cedric to hear. Cedric turned, his cheerful demeanor momentarily faltering. "Is there something you wish to add, friend?" Selim stood, his posture suddenly wary. "I just find it ironic that those who preach piety often ignore the suffering of the downtrodden right outside their gilded walls," he retorted. He glanced at Raxith, then back at Cedric, a flicker of something resembling respect crossing his usually guarded expression. Raxith, seemingly roused by Selim's words, grunted. "Suffering exists everywhere," he said, his voice a low rumble. "Even in the gleaming halls of the pious. Strength, not piety, protects the weak." Lyra, finally drawn into the conversation, spoke softly, her words precise. "Strength comes in many forms," she offered, her gaze settling on Cedric's armor, then on Selim's worn cloak. "It's not always about brute force." The air crackled with unspoken tensions, the tavern's usual boisterous atmosphere replaced by a charged silence. For diverse individuals, each driven by differing motivations, found themselves unexpectedly united by the shared space and the growing sense of a looming, unknown threat. The chasm outside, shrouded in purple mist, seemed to mirror the uncertainty brewing within the tavern.